Okay, we are live right now. Okay, I see us live on our business page. We are live. Should accept that.
No, I'm live. Should we start?
Okay, we'll just start here. See how it goes. Okay, so I'd just like to welcome everybody who is on and not on yet to our Facebook Live event. We're going to be discussing setting financial goals. And here with me is Adriana Torres.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adriana Torres from really soaring finances is the main goal. So I've been in business now almost 5 years as a financial advisor, and have a goal of bringing awareness, planning, and protection in the financial area to my clients. So I'm very pleased to be here with Maria from a Good Balance Accounting Services.
Yep, it's great to have you on here. You can also find Torres Finances on Facebook and Instagram. We will put, after our live, we'll put the links so you can follow her and all of her amazing tips that she always puts out every single week.
Thank you, Maria.
So my first question I have for you, why is it important to have financial goals?
Right. Well, I got your questions, and I wanted to start off in a twofold for this question. Let's start off with what is a financial goal? So, looking for a definition, a financial goal, a financial target is an objective which is based on planning how money can work for you in the future. A few examples include debt reduction, saving for emergencies, planning for retirement, education, and it also includes and should include tax strategies for your estate. And I know that Maria specializes in a lot of those areas, her and her firm. So, to get to your question, Maria, how can we track financial goals? There are many ways, and especially today, there are so many apps and so many opportunities that we can take in planning our financial goals. I mean, some people do it on paper. Some people still feel comfortable using, envelopes per se for budgeting, or jars for budgeting. But there are many, many applications out there that can help you track. Some of the banking online apps also have set up a way that you can track your money. What you should be doing in setting and tracking your financial goals is you should be trying to determine where every dollar that you get, telling it where to go, determining where it should go. That's why you want to track it. Last week in Financial Literacy Month, you did your live stream with regards to budgeting. Well, these two things go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, really. So it's very important that we tell our money where to go, and then with the plan, you're checking it out to see where it's actually going. So when you're setting financial goals, you also should be setting short-term, medium, and long-term goals. So a short-term goal might be to, it might be to make a small purchase. A long-term goal might be your retirement or your education fund for your kids. Maybe a medium goal might be something along the lines of you need to replace an appliance within your home and it's on its last leg. And it's just planning your money towards these things. Does that answer your question, Maria? Is that what you were looking for?
Definitely answers that question and many other questions that I had for you. It's all good. Can you, so you explained how there was short-term goals, medium and long-term goals. Should we prioritize any of these goals over other ones?
Every person and every household is different. Okay. I get into it a little bit further in as well with regards to motivation. A lot of people sometimes need to be motivated. So sometimes a short-term goal or reaching that short-term goal is very important just to keep them motivated. Other times people are more focused on long-term goals, and that's what makes them happy. So everybody really is different, and that's the job of a good financial advisor, is trying to determine who your client is, what their dreams, aspirations, and goals are, and putting that unique plan together for them so that they have a roadmap.
Oh, that's awesome. So we discussed before we came together here on live on what a SMART goal is. Mm-hmm. Also mentioned on your Facebook post today about setting SMART goals. Mm-hmm. What exactly is that?
SMART goals are something, and this is something that we need to realize, setting budget, setting goals, setting SMART goals is not something that we on a personal level only do. Large corporations, businesses, governments, everybody that wants to be successful actually sets these goals. A SMART goal is just another tool that can be used maybe for tracking. So a SMART goal is you need to be specific. Your goal needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be achievable. It needs to be relevant, and it needs to be time-based or timely. Sometimes people call it. So specific. Let's talk about specific, Maria. So I want to buy a house. Okay, that's a goal, right? But if we narrow it down, okay, you would like to buy a house within how many years? What would be your budget? And how much do you have in savings? So you're narrowing it down. So that's what the specific portion of it actually means, is that you are being specific as to what it is that your goal is, narrowing it down. Measurable is you can measure it. So if you're saving for a house, you have a savings account, and just keeping track of that, being able to measure your progress is what you're talking about. Achievable. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a $2 million house, but my realistic budget says that I can only buy a $500,000 house. So is my overall goal achievable? Might not be, right? Because unless I'm looking to increase my income, drastically, it's a dream. I might have a dream of owning a $2 million house, and we're all free to dream, but realistically, we need to set our goals within what we can achieve. Relevant. Is it relevant to our overall financial goal? So is owning the $2 million home relevant to us right now, or is it more important for us to get into our first home and then from there grow into that dream? And then timely. So is it within the next 5 years that you want to buy the house? Um, how many years are we actually looking for
Mm-hmm.
in a time based, right?
For sure. Because if we don't have a time limit
Mhm.
on our goals, it's more likely we're not going to get that goal achieved.
Exactly, and that's what these things are meant to do, to help us.
That's awesome. So you mentioned earlier about how there's different ways to track our financial goals that we have. Are there ones that you have found that's useful for you?
There is one particular one that I like to use. It's simple. I wish that we had it's a U.S. Budgeting system that helps on a monthly basis, and therefore I usually transfer it into more of a handmade or man-made way of tracking it. But it all starts off, really, Maria. It all starts off with our monthly budget and how we manage our money in that particular way.
For sure. For sure. Thank you, Paul.
There are some great apps out there, especially banks now. I know that RBC, for example, has one that's called Know Me. If you deal with RBC, and I hear it. I haven't used it myself, but I hear that it's actually pretty good.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Um, are there some either very specific steps or some vague steps that help us achieve our goals that we might have? Or are they different depending on our goal length?
I think there are a couple of things that determine all of that, Maria. One is each person is different, right?
Mhm.
The way people are motivated is different. So the reality is that we need to understand who we are. Um, it's a very personal. Finances are very personal. So we need to understand who we are, how we look at money. I always say that the way we relate to money is the condition of the heart, right? When we set things straight within us, we understand, the true value of money and possessions. That's when we get priorities straight.
For sure. For sure. Um, so you've given us a lot of amazing information, tips on financial goals. Something that I like to try and relate to all of our financial things is getting it introduced to our children, into our families. Growing up, we never really talked about finances. Every now and then, in the summers, we'd want to make a lemonade stand, and our mom would be like, okay, let's figure out how much lemonade is. And then see if this is a viable business to do every summer. So what are some things, maybe some tips or things that you have found out to be helpful to teach finances and goal setting for children?
I think that the first thing that we need to look at, Maria, and I did make some notes on this because I wanted to get it as close to what I want to say as possible. I think it all begins with us as parents, first of all. So we need to model good financial habits for our kids. We need to include our kids in some of the decisions that we make and why we make those decisions. So, monkey see, monkey do kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
That would be the very first thing that I would say. And you know what? Even if you're struggling, to get back to balance in your finances, have your kids come alongside you with regards to how you're managing or how you're coping or what your goals are. Like, you don't need to be specific, if it's something that is very personable, and if you're struggling, yourself, you don't need to be very personal, but share some of those little struggles with them. um, the second thing that I would say is teach the principle of planning for purchase for future purchases.
Mm.
So it's the self gratification, right? We live in a society. We live in a society of buy now, pay later, and that's what sometimes gets us in a lot of trouble. And you know what? This is not a judgment. This is something I've lived. So it's coming from the horse's mouth, pretty much. So teaching our kids not to give in to impulse buying.
Mhm.
The third step I would say would be train them on what I like to call the three main principles of financial for kids and for all of us, really. So we give in abundance, we save, and then we spend. So those are financial principles that will actually we would live out for them to see, and they would consequently go on to live themselves,
Mhm.
right? So I think it's important to even, what I like to do or what I suggest to people is even putting them in jars, making a pretty, you know self-contained little jar or piggy banks or whatever, but make it visual for kids, right? And label one give, label one save, label one spend, and from their allowance and their Christmas money or whatever money they get, their birthday money, just help them put it into perspective, right? And that helps them a lot. The reason we have the give first is because, again, we're trying to teach that money is a condition of the heart. So when we give before we take, or before we consume ourselves, that is putting or taking away sometimes that selfishness that we have as kids, right? That it's about me, and it's me, it's mine, it's that sort of thing. um, and then point out to them the gratifying feeling of giving to those in need. Point out the benefits of saving and having money to buy for something that you plan. So make it something that it's a goal, and once they achieve it, make sure that you share in that excitement with them. And then point out the rewards of owning something that they've bought for themselves. I remember that when my kids started working and started buying things for themselves, they would say something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm not spending my money on that, Mom. It's very expensive." But when it was my money, it wasn't expensive. So teaching them the value of what is coming in and and how you should spend it is very important. So reward the rewarding feeling of buying something that they've purchased themselves. And then I think the last one for that point, Maria, would be to congratulate them. Congratulate them in their achievements, share in their excitement, build it up and make it, especially large gains that they've made. But don't forget to celebrate the little ones also. The last thing I would say is watch for signs. Watch for signs that they are not sharing that experience, that excitement, and talk about it with your child. This is all part of us parents teaching them, right? And why is this not gratifying to you? You know, it could be that the wait was too long. It could be that, you know, whatever this, but talk about it with your child. Don't make
Mhm.
money or possessions like a taboo or something that your child can't talk about, because then we're missing the point, right?
Yeah,
We're missing the point.
for sure. Have you, in your experience having a family, found it more helpful to have physical cash, coins, dollar bills, things lying around, or giving them, um, as we like to call credit cards, debit cards, kind of a more ambiguous form of money?
Well, my kids have had a student account, like a bank account, since pretty much middle school, and we would deposit their allowance into that, and you know, it's a greater teaching curve when we do that, because now they're not actually seeing the physical money. You know, when you have a 20, you don't want to break it. You're trying to go through your purse for change because you don't want to break your 20 sort of thing. So they're missing out on that. So I would recommend more along the lines of physical money, teaching them the actual value of the money. Yeah, maybe put it in a bank account or in a piggy bank, but take it out instead of doing like a tap or a debit, because we tend to lose focus when we do that. Even as adults, we tend to lose focus. We don't know how much we've spent when we just tap.
For sure, for sure. I've ran into that every now and then at the end of the month when I'm ready to pay off my credit card. I'm like, oh, wow, that is more than what I budgeted in my head for it to be.
Funny, eh? It's very
Yeah,
funny.
funny how that happens. So, kind of tying that back into our topic for this thing about setting goals. Um, what are some goals that we can encourage our kids to have so they can get a bit more motivated now that they are starting to understand what money is and how it works?
It really depends on the age of the children, Maria. But in reality, we're looking to or parents should be looking at starting small. So when they, not only when they're younger, but starting small, as in the goals that they set for themselves, right? And you know, it could be saving up for a bike, right? It
Mm-hmm.
could be saving up because they want, this year they want to give Christmas presents to either their friends or, you know, even their parents, their siblings. You know, just helping them, talking. I think that one of the things that maybe generations past haven't done very well is talking about finances, whether it be in the house, whether it be, you know, in spiritual realms, as in churches or you know, synagogues, whatever your faith base might be, to even talking about it in school. I mean, now I think it was 2 years ago when where they decided that it was important to teach personal finances in high school,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a great idea. So if we all come together and we do our part, we're going to be setting up our kids for successes and not failures.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much for those amazing, amazing tips and informative things. Is there anything else that you would like for the world to know about setting goals and finances in general?
Yes, Maria, thank you for asking. With regards to setting goals, some people have a mind frame that they actually, you know, and are capable to set their goals and accomplish their goals. Other people need some financial advice in how to do it, how to track it, how to manage it, how to achieve it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a few questions that sort of come to mind is, if businesses, governments, and you know, anywhere we go that we step foot. they have a financial plan, they have a budget, they have, they have goals. So why is it sometimes that we on a personal level think that we shouldn't have, and yet we still think we're going to be successful? So these are some of the things that I want people out there to be on the lookout for when they're looking for financial advice. It doesn't have to be from me. It can be from whomever you choose, but be smart about what you're looking for. And these are the 3 points that I give. So what should a consumer look for when choosing a financial advisor that's going to help you set a financial goal, a financial roadmap, if you want to call it that? Make sure that they have your best interest in mind. That's number one. If it feels like it's about them, it probably is about them, and it should be about you, the consumer. Make sure that they offer you that they don't offer you a transactional sale. So they're more interested in, oh, Maria, we got this new product in, and we know this when we go into a retail store. Why don't we know this when we are being sold something in the financial aspect, right? So keep that in mind. Don't be sold on a product, but it should be about you and what your goals are. That leads me into my third one. Make sure they provide you all the information information you need, and explain your options. You need to understand and feel comfortable with the decision that you make. Ultimately, it is your decision. So whether it be, for financial planning, for budgeting, for risk protection, whatever it might be that's in your financial roadmap, make sure the map is about you and not about, the financial advisor, whether it be me or anybody else. So those are the 3 tips that I would basically give to anybody out there looking to set financial goals.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to helping people understand finances and helping them understand better on setting goals. Something I'd like to note is that, goals are meant to stretch us. We're not supposed to set comfortable goals like, okay, I'm just going to save $5 this week, easy goals. Goals, as mentioned, short-term and long-term, are supposed to help us become better people, because we know that as we save money, as we have those goals and reach those goals, they make us better as individuals and as families, and it will reciprocate into helping us become a better community as we all move forward together. Well, thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you on the social medias?
Well, I'm at, if you're looking for me on social media, at TFS, that's Taurus Financial Services, abbreviation. Soaring Finances is where they can find me. They can also reach me at 1-888-720-7772. We are here to help. Again, we bring awareness, we bring planning, and we bring protection to those that feel that we are the right fit. I'd also like to thank you, Maria, for thinking of me, for this opportunity to share, what's in my heart, because it is in my heart to help people plan their finances and live prosperous lives. Just the learning and the experience that I've had. So thank you very much for allowing me this time.
No worries. Thank you for joining us. You can find me on all the social medias at A Good Balance, and on LinkedIn. Yeah, we're all there. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing in our knowledge and our joy of finances. We will see you guys around. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Prosperous days.